All right, you're all good.
All right, I'm ready, Callahan. I'm ready to give you my grades, my draft grades. I watched every minute of was it 2 days? 2 days? 3 days. 3 days. First round, then 2 and 3, and then the rest of the draft. I know Mr. Irrelevant. He's a linebacker from somewhere. I don't know, Texas. But go ahead, throw one at me. Team, I'll give you a grade.
How about the 49ers?
B.
You
B.
give B.
Anyone else?
How about let's see. How about the Bears with Justin Fields?
B plus.
Okay,
B
good.
plus.
All right,
Yeah.
good. All right,
Yeah.
those are good grades.
These are important. I mean, my grade. Don't ask me to explain my grades. You don't really. I mean, how do you explain grading someone before they play it down? I mean, I know what
Patriots an A, by the way. I should have said Patriots are an A.
Patriots. Oh, A plus. I see. I like. I wish I didn't like the Patriot draft pick. I wish I didn't like something Belichick did, because it's much more fun to go against the grain and get, under the skin of Thornton Nation. But I love the Patriots pick because, first of all, I love quarterbacks. I'm going to give you the reasons why I love this pick. I love quarterbacks. This is a great college quarterback. I mean, I was going over the numbers last night, and I did tweet about it because, I mean, the numbers, you think of Mac Jones, as a product of the system. He had perhaps the best weapons a college quarterback's ever had, as we see the Heisman winner, who doesn't even go, his teammate, another receiver even goes ahead of the Heisman winner in the draft, but like 27 different Alabama guys go in the first round. So you're thinking, well, he just, he was whatever, A.J. McCarron. He just delivered the ball where it had to be. But he's much more than that. Mac Jones set a record for QB rating in college with a 203.1. Now, I don't really know the system in college exactly how you figure out. I don't even know the system in the pro. I just in the pros, I just know 158 is the best you can do in the pros. Well, 203.1 is the best anyone's ever done in college football. And numbers like this: 41 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4,500 yards, 77.4 completion percentage. Just numbers that blow you away, that look like the Heisman, look like a guy who would win the Heisman in a landslide. They look like numbers that a guy like Trevor Lawrence would have put up, or a guy like Joe Burrow, who were Heisman winner. Not Lawrence didn't win the Heisman, but just really highly touted quarterbacks, number one picks. Mac Jones put up numbers that in a normal year would get him A, the Heisman, B, I don't know, picked in the top 5, maybe top 10. The reason I love it is,
there was a chance that was going to happen anyway, right? I mean, amazing he fell to the Patriots, but the 49ers seemed like they were undecided up until the final minute almost.
Well, I don't think they were undecided. I just think they kept it secret and played everybody, which is beautiful. But here's why you have to give the Patriots a high grade for this pick, is because if they traded up to, I don't know, 6, 8, 10, 12 and took him, everyone would commend them and say they went after their guy. They had their guy, and they said, we're going to do what it takes to get him, and they got him. And people would say, good for them. The quarterback is so important. It really doesn't matter to me in the end what you give up for him. If he turns out to be a good NFL quarterback, that means everything. No player, no position in sports means more than your quarterback. So they wait till 15, and it was pretty suspenseful. It was pretty entertaining. Watch the first round unfold, wondering if he would fall to 15, or if some team ahead of them would ruin the plan. Maybe even if they had a quarterback, make a trade with someone else who didn't, and take Mac Jones and screw Belichick over. It must have been nerve-wracking. Now, you'd never know it from Belichick, but must have been nerve-wracking for Belichick and Patriot coaches to wait that out. But they did. They waited. They sat there at 15. They didn't make a deal. Someone could have grabbed him ahead of them. They didn't. And I'm sure they had a backup plan. But this guy, to me, I believe people when they say this is the one guy, this is the guy Belichick wanted. Because, and I'll tell you why, is we hear often now that there's a new way of playing quarterback. Look at all the mobile quarterbacks. Look at, Lamar Jackson, or just look at, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, guys who are great athletes, who came on, who can make something out of nothing, scramble, do all the things that good athletic quarterbacks can do, like Trey Lance, apparently. I mean, let's be honest, the guy played one game last year, so there's not a lot of people have ever seen him play, but they know he's a terrific athlete, and they think he's going to be a dual threat, and he's going to be, a real modern day QB who brings. That's not Mac Jones, as we see. Mac Jones didn't even look like an athlete when he walked up to the podium to put his hat on and hug Goodell.
Just so much swagger out of Mac Jones.
There was a lot of memes where he was compared to Belichick walking into the stadium, or even better, compared to Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker from Batman. He kind of walked like him, kind of stiff. But there's two things at quarterback, and we've talked about this a lot because when we talked about Cam Newton and just how bad Cam Newton is or was last year and probably will be going forward, there's two things the QB in the NFL must do above all others, and that's make good decisions and make accurate throws. And if Mac Jones probably did that as well as anyone. In fact, he had unbelievable numbers. I saw one stat for accurate throws over 10 yards down the field, and his numbers were much better than Trevor Lawrence's, and like historically good. I understand the receivers were great, are great, were spectacular, speedy, just great NFL ready wide receivers. Good for him. That's why that helps when you throw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. And by the way, had like his best game in the national title game against Ohio State. So when the pressure was on, he threw for 464 yards and 5 touchdowns and won a national title. But if Belichick and whoever, Ernie Adams in his last draft, or Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels sit around and say, we need someone who can drop back 3 steps, 5 steps, and deliver, a 12-yard, 15-yard out on the money. Just drop back throw, drop back throw. Use these new tight ends that they got, these stud tight ends they signed. Who could do it better than Mac Jones? Maybe Trevor Lawrence, maybe not. But if this is the guy who can do what they want done at quarterback, which is what Brady did for 20 years, why mess around? Take him at 15 and start him day one. Now, Belichick, I know, said Cam Newton's our quarterback. Can I just say, I'm not going to go all Feinbaum on you here, but can I just say Belichick is full of it? Cam Newton is not the quarterback. If he is, then if Cam Newton's the starter on day one, that means Mac Jones failed in his first test, which to me is to win the job in preseason, in the off season, in June, and then in August in preseason. If he doesn't perform the way you expect and Cam Newton beats him out, then we should redo our draft grades, because then the A+ that I just gave him is going to be a D. Because if Mac Jones, who's big kid, smart, apparently super smart, throws accurately, makes good decisions, knows what they want. If he can't beat out Cam Newton, who was one of the worst, if not the worst quarterback in the NFL last year, then you have issues. I understand Belichick likes Cam, and so do Patriot fans and media. Everyone likes Cam Newton, but you can't. Your eyes weren't lying to you. Your eyes told you that he sucked last year. We already gone over the numbers and whatever, 11 touchdowns, whatever it is, and 8 picks.
But he's already in the area working out a ton. So
that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's already lifting. And
down. Yeah, he is lifting, working out. He's being a team guy.
By the way, Mac Jones, I would say, is like kind of the anti-Cam Newton. He doesn't spend a lot of time in the weight room, as we saw when we saw his shirtless photos. He's like Brady when Brady was a rookie, but fatter, higher body fat. And Cam Newton is a specimen, just amazing, sculpted, strong body, lifts a lot, works out a lot, shirtless, of course, looking in the mirror. I don't think Mac Jones works out shirtless in front of a mirror, just my guess. But I think what they believe Mac Jones can do is what Cam Newton could not do, which is deliver the ball in stride on the hands. I mean, even tight ends, you remember last year, tight end would be like an 8-yard throw and Newton would skip it at his feet or over his head. He just doesn't throw accurately anymore. I'm not sure how good he was on his best day. I know he won an MVP and a Heisman and went to a Super Bowl. But I'm just going to predict that Belichick will say Cam's our guy till, I don't know, late August, when they'll share the duties in preseason, and even we laymen will sit back and watch a preseason game and go, holy crap, Mac Jones is better. So late August, so at some point, either Cam Newton will get sore hammy, or something, ankle sprain, back spasm, some injury, and
we don't wish injuries on players though here.
Just no,
we don't want that to happen. We don't want to force it, but yeah, I get
right. I mean, think of the dumb things. Cam Newton had terrible pocket presence last year too. He would run when he shouldn't have run and throw when he should not have thrown. Those are the things that you expect Mac Jones to not do, to not make dumb decisions, to not try and run when he shouldn't run. The idea that you have to follow the crowd and come up with an athletic quarterback just because, that's the way the game is going. Why would you feel the need to do that if you just had 20 years of the greatest player in NFL history who never ran the ball, who never scrambled for 10, 12 yards and a first down, who never, made dumb decisions because he thought athletically he could, make a play. Brady never, ever did that for good reason. He was he couldn't run. He was slow and he was smart. So he just dropped back and threw the ball. That's what Mac Jones is going to do. He's not going to try to make plays with his feet because that's not what you want him to do. You want him to find those tight ends. You want him to find James White out of the backfield to do the smart thing. By the way, Mac Jones is a much better athlete than Tom Brady. Not that it matters, but his 40-yard dash, 4.86. Brady's was like 5.1. His 20-yard shuttles and three cone drills and all that, much better than Tom Brady. That's how bad Brady was.
Oh, even if Mac Jones though doesn't win the job, you can't grade Belichick in a bad way. I mean, just the fact that he waited it out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the need of a quarterback right now, which they desperately are, obviously, and you wait it out and you get somebody with this type of upside at the 15th pick, I mean, whether it works out or not, that's a very successful pick.
Well, let me say this. I was prepared to bash Belichick, and I'm sure he was concerned about this. I was prepared to come down on him and I thought this was going to happen as I'm watching the draft, and I know Mac Jones is there. I said, Belichick is going to stick it to everybody. This is what he loves to do. And he's going to take a cornerback from wherever, from Rutgers, or he's going to take a pass rusher, which he did later in the third round. He's going to do something to annoy everybody. It's just typical Belichick, the contrarian. He didn't do it. He drafted for the biggest need they have, and we know he's been very active in free agency, and he's making deals, and we know this quarterback, whoever it is in 2021, will have better weapons, much better weapons than Cam Newton did, and better weapons than Brady did for many years. But Belichick did what all the fans wanted him to do, and probably the media too, which is just unusual. It's different. So I thought that was commendable in that Belichick wasn't afraid to look like he was with the crowd, man. He was listening to the fans, which he never, ever does. But in this case, the need was so glaring, he had to do it. And the more you look at more you look at Mac Jones, the more you say that guy is a starter on day one, and a guy who will be smart and be studious and diligent and do exactly what they want him to do. No ad-libbing, no dumb stuff, no putting the ball on the ground like Newton did in the final drive against Buffalo to give the game away. He'll throw the ball where it's supposed to be thrown and take advantage of these weapons, which is why I love the pick. I wish I could say.
Does he have a hot mom? Can we ask the question?
Plus,
that has to be part of the criteria.
Plus, I was pretty happy, like my friend Max Kellerman. The NFL did not draft 3 straight white guys, which was important. My antenna was up, Colin. My antenna was up. They drafted Trevor Lawrence and then Zach Wilson. And as I was waiting for San Francisco, if they picked Mac Jones, which was at number 3, we don't know what Belichick would have done. He would have taken a quarterback at some point. But thank God that Trey Lance is not white, or at least not, doesn't appear to be white. I don't know much about Trey Lance. Nobody does. but he broke up that very disturbing string of 2 straight white guys. And by the way, wasn't there like 10 straight black guys after that? I mean, only Max Kellerman, that nitwit, could give a damn how many white guys were drafted in a row. It's just so idiotic. And again, that's ESPN today, because there's probably not one person at ESPN said, Max, what the hell are you talking about? Who cares if the third pick in the draft is white? You think they give a damn? The 49ers gave up a lot to get there. The quarterback, the coach and the GM, their careers are riding on this pick. And you think they should care what race it is, right? Race he is? It's just madness. But anyway, I had fun mocking and ridiculing Max Kellerman, as did a lot of other people. But I when you think about other draft picks, which is how these guys grade, all these, national guys grade teams on their 5th and 6th round pick. Nobody knows a damn thing about them. Nobody knows anything about whether a 5th or 6th round pick can play or going to make the team. So I like to grade on the 1st round pick, because I've seen him. Everyone's seen a lot of Mac Jones and seen and looked at these incredible numbers he put up and listened to what he says and all that. So you grade him on that, and you grade him on the fact that they just sat at 15 and didn't give up anything and got their guy, and now we get the chance to watch him play in a Patriot uniform, which is the most, as I always say, the most entertaining thing about being a sports fan is watching a young quarterback, watching a good quarterback play. And we get to see one. Hopefully we get to see one. And Cam Newton is going to be interesting, because he's not going to win the job. If he does, something's wrong with Mac Jones. But if Cam Newton wins the job, doesn't win the job, is he really going to happily, put on a cap? Yeah, or does he wear one of his funky fedoras with the feather? And
he will. He's a social media influencer now. He's like a positive guy. He's going to turn everything into a positive and somehow monetize the content of odds are stacked against me. Can I come back? That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
You think he's worried about monetizing the content?
Yes, I absolutely do. He has a camera crew following him around his every move right now.
Belichick knows better, obviously, and Josh McDaniels know much better than we do, but I can't picture him happily playing the role of, Ryan Fitzpatrick, or not even, whatever, of Matt Schaub, just saying, I'll be the backup. We got a good young quarterback. He's 32, I believe. That is not the age when a stud, former MVP, former Heisman winner, guy with supreme self-confidence says, my days as a starter are over. I'll step back and let this doughy young kid from Alabama, from Jacksonville, Florida, I'll let him step in.
He just replaced the great quarterback. He replaced the greatest quarterback of all time, and could not have gone worse. It was the worst season I've ever watched a quarterback possibly play. It was that bad. You have to understand how bad that was, and understand there is a great possibility that he will never be a starting quarterback ever again.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that. See, I think people who want to people who want to blindly support Belichick are going to say he knows what he's doing. Obviously, Cam Newton is, whatever, his shoulder hurt last year, or didn't have the weapons, or didn't get the breaks.
He had COVID. He got COVID.
That's a good point. He did have COVID, so they took a lot out of him. So just like it took a lot out of Jason Tatum, COVID just killed him. Anyway, I am never going to get to the point where I say, you know what, Belichick was right. Cam Newton's still the starter. Mac Jones has a lot to learn. Those days are over when guys used to get drafted and then sit a year or two, like Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Guys like Joe Burrow, they invest a lot of money in them. The fans want to see them. They're much more advanced than they were in the old days because of all the football they played and how wide open the offenses are. And guys don't even know what it's like to take a snap under center when they get to the pros, because their whole life is in shotgun. They play 7-on-7 tournaments all year round. That's why guys are much more ready today than they were, a generation ago. And look at Mac Jones. The guy was the starting quarterback for Alabama, won a national title, played in big games every week, played in the SEC, of course. I mean, that's a good that's good preparation for the AFC East. Let's be honest. For the most part, SEC's been more competitive than the AFC East in the last 20 years. But I love the pick. I love watching young quarterbacks, and especially young quarterbacks with good tight ends and, wide open offenses. And hopefully He is just one of those old school quarterbacks who drops back and throws the ball. Think about it. The greatest quarterback ever didn't run the ball. He wasn't considered a great athlete. The second greatest, I'm going to say the second or third greatest ever, Peyton Manning. What did he do his entire career? He dropped back and threw the ball, didn't ever run the ball, wasn't a great athlete. The fifth or sixth best, Drew Brees, much better athlete than Brady or Manning, but he didn't make his living running, tucking and running and scrambling like Lamar Jackson for 40 yards. The idea that you have to be able to run because that's what Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes does or can do is silly because that's not what Brady did, and Brady has 7 rings. So you needed a replacement for Brady. You got a guy. I'm looking forward to seeing him play, and maybe he's one of those guys who'll never go in the weight room. So he'll become he'll become a fan favorite for all the guys with dad bods out there because he's got a serious dad bod and he's only 22. I don't know. I'm going to guess he doesn't eat like Tom Brady. He does not.
Obviously we remember what Tom Brady's picture looked like around the combine and draft day, and he's going to turn into 10 years from now. He's going to be at the Kentucky Derby looking like the best dressed guy in the room and friggin', whatever facial thing that Tom Brady has done, like work that he's.
Honestly, I've been to the Kentucky Derby a few times to cover it, and it was an experience. I enjoyed it, but I don't get the fascination why you'd want to dress like that. But if you're not a gambler or a big drinker, I mean, that's what you do. I went to the Kentucky Derby and hung out with Bob Newmeyer, and it was an experience. I mean, everyone's looking for his pick and asking for his picks in other races and the race the day before and all this, and they're into the gambling and the drinking, the mint juleps. It's bourbon drinking time, and you're eating bad crappy food, and you're betting on horses. What's the fascination if you're Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? I mean, Brady loves it, and I know Brady loves to get dressed up and have people take his picture like he's a runway model. But when he sits down, in my experience, when you sit down at these things, you're either into the horses and the gambling and the next superfecta, or you're into the party, which is going hard. The people on the infield, they drink hard, they go hard, they get crazy. Then Brady doesn't do that. Brady doesn't. I don't think he's a big gambler.
You didn't see like Aaron Rodgers go crazy over the weekend. I think this is one of the one events that Brady actually does drink at per year. So I think this is considered like in his world, it's a big party day for him. He used to always post a picture with the former, with Welker and all the guys he would go with. It's a party day in his world. In our world, it's, I don't know, Saturday.
And you sit down and you play, obviously the one big race everyone bets on, but again, that's 2 minutes. What's the rest of the day like if you're Tom Brady? You're not chasing females around. I mean, you can't do that.
Yep.
You're married and everybody's watching you. You're not drinking a lot.
It's getting away from the female. That was his excuse. That was his one day a year that he had. Now, somehow, I don't know how he pulled this one with Giselle. Now he's like a UFC guy. So now he gets all the UFC pay-per-view. He's playing it smart. He's kind of like easing his way into going out, once or twice a month away from the family.
He gets a lot of away time for a guy who's got 3 kids and a very demanding wife and a lot of responsibilities. He does get away. He does have boys' night out, and I'm sure that was one of the rules even before he got married. I get to go to the Kentucky Derby with my boys, and everyone looks forward to seeing what silly hat. I almost said Cam Newton because he had the Cam Newton look, but Brady had a big ass hat. And
I was thinking about it over the weekend, just randomly as I saw Brady. I was like, he's married to literally the biggest earthy, crunchy person on the face of the earth, and he's out there watching horses, run around a track, and then also he watches people get the shit kicked out of each other at UFC. Like, she can't love that he's a big fan of these events.
You think Brady gives a damn about climate change?
Oh no, he doesn't.
No. I mean, he might pretend to keep his wife happy, but no chance. I mean, he likes driving, big SUVs or fast Audis and flying his private jet and going to the Derby and going to UFC and doing what he wants to do. There's no way he gives a damn. He doesn't even probably, spend 1 second, except when, it's whatever Earth Day, and his wife makes him plant a tree or something in the yard. He doesn't care about any of that. But Brady, we have a replacement, as you point out. Cam Newton had the job of replacing the greatest ever, which is never an enviable task. We often use the example of Pete Carroll had to take over for Parcells, who's not the greatest ever by any stretch, but he was a big presence and a great coach. And Carroll had the job of filling those sizable shoes. It didn't work out. 3 seasons, he got worse each year. He, finished 500 his last year, I believe. But then Belichick takes over. That's what you want to be, the guy after the guy who replaces the legend. That is what Mac Jones is, the guy after the guy replacing the legend. Newton gave it his best shot. Everybody likes him. Everyone thinks he's a nice guy, a good leader, a good interview. Everyone thinks he's a snappy dresser and a big, big personality. He was a terrible quarterback last year. He's not going to be the starter this year. And I wonder how well he'll handle the job of, here's a clipboard. Why don't you, chart the plays for us, Cam, old buddy, and help mentor the young quarterback from Alabama. We'll see how that goes, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm giving him an A+. It was, as always, a wild NFL weekend because, NFL could do anything. Did you see the numbers for the draft, by the way, the rating for Thursday night when they drag it out and it's slow? And I understand the teams want to see fans want to see who their team takes. But look at get the ratings. They didn't quite knock off the Oscars, but it was close. Bigger numbers for the NFL draft than most playoff baseball games, than many playoff basketball, hockey games. The NFL draft is like, obviously number one is NFL games, but the numbers are incredible. People and I always think back to when when they started making a big deal out of it. I don't know, 30 years ago. We all mocked it. We mocked Mel Kiper. We mocked his hair. We mocked the idea that a guy had a full-time job to evaluate, 19-year-old kids playing college football. And now I listen to everything Mel Kiper says. I'm checking. What does he say about this guy? It's amazing what they have built. They have built this must-watch show, which used to be just this routine thing where you pick a bunch of college players and say, oh, cool, my team got a linebacker. Now you know everything about him. You watch the way he walks. You watch what his parents look like, his girlfriend. Every little detail about your top pick. And then there are people who know every detail about the 2nd round pick and the 4th round pick and the 6th round pick. And they're making deals, and you're on Twitter watching, what'd they give up for the 4th round pick? And however they did it, I'm not sure who's responsible, whether it's, ESPN or Mel Kiper or Roger Goodell. It is, I watched, it is, I don't say much watch TV, but it's pretty entertaining.
It has to be one of the toughest things to produce, right? I was watching that. I'm like, you got to get every single player. You got to get every single highlight package from all these unknown players. You want all this background information. Like that has to be, from a sports production standpoint, effort level on that.
You know what they do? They give them 6 months to do it. They have all the time in the world because it's such a big deal. I was watching.
Combined numbers, they beat the Oscars, by the way. Combined, when they
do it, NFL Network.
Yeah, ESPN, ABC, and NFL Network beat the Oscars.
Beat the Oscars. That's incredible. The Oscars, what was it, 23 years ago? The Oscars had 55 point something million viewers. This year they had 9.8, and they lost to the NFL draft.
A combined 12.5 million viewers on Thursday night.
Jesus, that's incredible. When you think about it, there's only a dozen teams that really have, if you're picking 27th, is it really that exciting, for your team? If you're the Chiefs or if you're the Texans and you don't have any picks for the first 3 rounds, are their fans actually tuning in? It's incredible. 12 million viewers, which beats probably every baseball game for the last 5 years. And basketball too. It's incredible the production that they've made this thing. And I got to confess, I sit there. I started watching. I don't know what I was watching on TV. I just took my laptop, put it in front of me, and every time they're about to pick, I'd go watch the draft. And then you had a little ticker on the side saying 5 more minutes on the pick. You could tune out. But it was a pretty eventful weekend, which started, by the way, with Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, we don't know this on the record, although we did an interview, and we have it, at the Kentucky Derby. When you first hear, and I know I'm old school, old fashioned, but when I first hear a quarterback wants out, and the quarterback's making whatever $40 million a year, and the quarterback is on a good team that should have beaten the Bucs at home and gone to the Super Bowl, but when you first hear it, my instinct is screw him. The GM, the coach, whoever the president, there's no owner. It's Green Bay. Should just say, well, you're under contract. You're going nowhere. Just get over it. That's not how it works anymore. When quarterbacks want out, they're especially star quarterbacks, and this is the MVP, the reigning MVP, first ballot Hall of Famer, a great player, decides he wants out, and when we don't have any confirmation from him, but I believe Yahoo was the first to report that he will not play in Green Bay for GM Brian Gutekunst. Do I have that name right?
Yeah, I think you pronounced it accurately. I think
Good,
that's
I did. I did my homework. Gutekunst. Rodgers hates him. Does not want to play for him. Is not participating in their virtual mini camps.
But not demanding he be fired. However,
but not demanding anything on the record. Correct. I mean, they obviously know there's all kind of reports. If you Google it, you'll see all kinds of rumors. But show me an example of a great quarterback, a star quarterback, a franchise quarterback who wanted out, who didn't get out. They want out, whether it's Matthew Stafford or whoever. The quarterback calls the shots. If the quarterback wants out, the quarterback gets out. Quarterbacks are the most powerful guys besides commissioners. Quarterbacks are more powerful than coaches. They're more important to teams, more vital to teams than coaches. If a quarterback wants out, Tom Brady got out. They just let him go. He didn't get traded. They just let him walk away because he's Tom Brady, the greatest ever, and he wanted out, and he kind of forced their hand, and they let him walk. That's how it works. If Rodgers wants out, he's getting out, and they will get to trade him, and they will get a lot in return, and Green Bay can start the rebuilding with Jordan Love. But when you first hear it, you say, they'll never let him go.
Pissed him off last year, but look what it did. He then became the NFL MVP. It maybe sparked him up a little bit for the last season.
True.
It worked out in Green Bay's behalf. So you almost think if you're a Green Bay's Packers fan, I could see your side of this. What you were starting this segment with was, if you're a fan, you're saying, Jesus Christ, like you were just MVP, you made the play, right? They made the play. Yeah, they made the playoffs.
Yes, they played
what's wrong here? If you're a fan, you're like, what's wrong? I think the guy, I don't know if he's just using leverage. Like I'm trying to decipher his mentality with the situation, because it does seem like everything's kind of working out in his.
I think Rodgers is a classic guy that isn't happy unless he's unhappy. He needs that grievance. He needs that grudge, and he wants, and maybe it helps motivate him. Just like last year when they drafted Love and he went out and had a spectacular season and won the MVP. But if he indeed wants out, and they know, we don't know, but they know for sure, he's getting out. And they're already setting odds and teams that he'll play for. I think Denver's.
Well, that was the rumor with who started that? Mark Schlereth over the weekend?
Right, Mark Schlereth. Denver, exactly. Mark Schlereth said they're talking to Denver, and maybe they are. And I think it was Denver, Chicago. No, the Giants. Somebody came up with a list of teams that he would accept the trade to. And it was Denver, the Giants, which is why I find it notable, because I'm surprised he'd want to go play for the Giants. But maybe, it's Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he wants to be in New York. Maybe, maybe it's he wants to be in a big city and go on all the shows and take advantage of all the marketing opportunities. But we will see what happens.
He thinks he's taking over as host of friggin' Jeopardy, for Christ's sake.
Right.
Like, is he just like is he tapped? Is he wacko? Like I could see the internet supporting him with something like that. Like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he was so great. He's not better than anybody else that has been on there. People are absolutely
Tom Brady is not just the greatest quarterback, greatest player ever, but he's the most impactful. When you think about it, he forced his way out of New England, went to Tampa, built his own team, still building his own team, won a Super Bowl. Everything worked out great. So a guy like Rodgers is saying, and others, maybe that's what motivated, Stafford, but others are looking at it saying, I'm the quarterback. I'm the most important guy in this team. I can get what I want. I don't like this GM. If I'm staying here, he's going. Or if he's staying, I'm going. So Rodgers could force a trade. He absolutely could. He might. We will see how serious he is, or maybe he just wants to get rid of Gutenunst. Maybe he just doesn't like Gutenunst, which means Gutenunst is going to be on the street.
Nobody can get him on the record right now. So I guess Tirico bumped into him walking into the Derby. He wouldn't talk to Tirico, right? He went to the Derby with AJ Hawk, who is actually, I think he's like a co-host with Pat McAfee. Can't get him on the record there, even though I'm sure he knows the information. And then he did talk to the Kentucky Derby's, like, let's call it television network at the actual event. And they never asked about his situation. Obviously, they don't care.
Do you have any of that? Because what they ask about the race? Because he had a name tag on that said Turd Ferguson. And he was dressed, but not dressed nearly as extravagantly as Tom Brady. He was dressed nicely. But do we have Brady? I mean, do we have Rodgers talking to the track reporter, the Churchill Downs reporter?
There's a gentleman here today by the name of Mattress Mac who's going to wager between $2 million and $4 million on the favourite Essential Quality. I was just wondering, do you bring that sort of bankroll with you to the races?
Hell no. No, I mean, I love this, but I'm not trying to do any life-changing money bets out here. I'm just trying to make some nice little small bets and have fun.
That's all. He didn't show any personality besides that. So the interview was just about who he brought with him.
And the guy had to ask one question. I mean, obviously the guy's, probably not a football fan, but someone had to get in his ear and say, just ask, do you want out? That's not a hard question to ask. Yep. Just a lot of rumors, Aaron, a lot of people talking, a lot of speculation. Do you want out of Green Bay?
And he
question mark. End of question.
That would have been it would have taken over the social media world over the Kentucky Derby. So maybe that was a savvy play by that reporter. So he didn't know.
I mean, he was British, right? He doesn't, he probably wanted to ask about the super teams and the soccer league. I know nothing about that except they're making life uncomfortable for the Glaziers and the Pizzutis, which is good. Go for it. I want all those crazy hooligans in England to continue to go after these Brits, these American grifters, these carpetbaggers over there. Keep going, guys. But anyway, back to football. One more story over the weekend that just made me laugh out loud. Paul Feinbaum, a total dink. I guess big time, everyone he's a college football guy for ESPN, this geeky looking bald guy who I guess has a big following down south. Not a lot of people up north, spend a lot of time listening or reading Paul Feinbaum, but what does he do in a show for ESPN that's like on syndicated down south, but nowhere up north? I don't even know where you'd find it.
Yeah, he was syndicated on ESPN radio. I mean, nobody's going to pick him up northeast because he's just focusing on the SEC and stuff like that. So I don't know. He did have a TV show on ESPN for a little while as well, but I don't think that had any ratings either. So,
but I guess he's big with college football fans and SEC fans, and I understand that. But he had an evaluation of the Patriots, which it sounds like trolling. It sounds like a guy who doesn't like Belichick, who doesn't like New England, and we can get to doesn't like me, doesn't like us, and I understand, but he has decided, and this is such a troll job. He's decided Belichick has lost it without Brady because Belichick has gotten lazy. Now, you've followed Belichick's whole career in New England. I have followed it, and I was at his last game in Cleveland. I've had lots of criticism of Belichick, heard lots of criticism. Has anyone ever called him lazy?
No, I've never heard that.
Could you ever be a great NFL coach and be lazy? I mean, that's a hard thing for me to imagine, that Belichick's kicking back, getting lazy. But that's the charge. And the reason, one of the reasons Feinman presents to support his case is that he hired his son. His son, who's a assistant linebacker coach or whatever he is, inside linebacker coach, who is, I think he's older than Sean McVay, and he's still paying his dues, still a position coach, and hasn't been made the defensive coordinator yet. And
we'd hear something locally if his son was a problem in any way, or if it was a distraction, or if
you know why Malcolm Butler didn't start playing the Super Bowl, don't you? You heard those rumors. But
here we go. All right, let's hear from Feinbaum.
Let's hear from Feinbaum on Belichick.
I'm also a little concerned about this rather lazy. Well, Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. Really? Have you guys watched the New England Patriots in the last couple of years? Tom Brady knows what he's doing. I'm not sure Bill Belichick does. He's made some dubious coaching hires, starting with his son, and he's made some, I think, disastrous draft choices. So I like Mac Jones a lot. I know I'm burying the lead here. I think he's a very good quarterback. Will he be a great NFL quarterback? I have no earthly idea. But don't confuse the fact that just because Bill Belichick drafts you and he's never drafted a quarterback before, well, big deal. I mean, why did he need to draft a quarterback in the first round before that Mac Jones is automatically going to be the next Peyton Manning?
I didn't think you would be able to.
That's not the worst criticism, because he hasn't been the best at drafting in the last few years. So that's not.
No, but nobody says he is. Nobody said he's the greatest drafter or whatever, the greatest evaluator. But I mean, using his son as an example of why he's gotten lazy. Has he called Andy Reid lazy lately? Because Andy Reid's son, I mean, you want to talk about a token, a nepotism hire. Look at Britt Reid, who's not with the team anymore, is going to prison. But I mean, that was probably, we understand that Stephen Belichick wouldn't have that job without the name. I mean, everyone knows that. It's like saying Hunter Biden wouldn't have all these jobs. Even Hunter Biden admits that he would have none of these scams going on if not for his name. But is that an example of Belichick getting lazy, hiring his son as whatever he is, assistant, defensive assistant? That means he's lazy?
No, that's peak. I mean, I don't listen to enough Feinbaum, but that's clearly just a way to agitate, and that's the only thing he could off the top of his head as he's going on a stupid rant, even though Belichick just maybe made one of the best picks he's ever made in a draft. So he's just shooting for it there.
Right. And I do think, I mean, he's not, again, he's a big deal down south. If Belichick gets wind of this, I could just say that he is the greatest ever, as we know, at ignoring the noise, ignoring the talk show talk, the fodder. But some things get to him and he hears them and they bother him. We remember him. He still has a grudge against Tom Jackson. He won't even look at him. And he was friendly. We've heard the stories. He was friendly with Chris Berman. He would talk to Chris Berman and just flat out turn his back on Tom Jackson because Tom Jackson said they hate their coach. He will never forget Trent Dilfer saying they're not any good anymore. I mean, things like that. He doesn't hear everything from the media, but he hears some things.
Is that how you are with Feinbaum after he attacked you?
Hold on. Before we get to that, I just want to. I was wrong. Sean McVay is 1 year older than Stephen Belichick. There's lots of coaches, as we know, the LaFleurs and all these young coaches getting opportunities. Stephen Belichick, I'm not saying he's paying his dues and would have been there without dad, but he's 34 and he's still a outside linebacker coach. So he's not being propelled into some really important role ahead of his time. Anyway, and I don't know, maybe he's a good coach, maybe he's not. Who the hell knows?
He
finally got rid of the mullet, right? Which is good. That's progress.
He has unfiltered access to the greatest football coach in the history of the game. I mean, I know he's his son, but it's like I would take that shot if as a fan of the Patriots. I'm welcoming that shot as a transition period for the team. Why not?
And I mean, he hasn't even made him defensive coordinator. Does anyone think he's going to step down and make him head coach?
Yeah.
It's not like he can't do that anyway. I mean, it's not his role. But anyway, Feinbaum, that's Feinbaum on Belichick, and I'm predicting Belichick is going to get wind of that. He's not going to do anything obvious or outward about it, but that will bother him. And I could tell you why. You could say things about Belichick. Obviously, you can say he's a dink to the media, and he wouldn't care. But calling him lazy, calling any coach lazy, that's how to get under the skin. They all take pride in how hard they work. They all think of themselves as workaholics. Some are more maniacal than others, and we know Dick Vermeil slept in the office, and McVay is on the road at 4 a.m, and Gruden too. Gruden's in the office at 4 a.m. No football coach, especially not the greatest ever, is going to just let that roll off his back. You call them lazy, you hit them where it hurts. I predict Paul Feinbaum, who again is a dick, is going to get the attention at some form, at some level of Belichick. And you know what he'll do? He'll take it out on someone else at ESPN, because Feinbaum doesn't really cover any NFL football, so he won't have any interaction, a chance to get, turn his back on him specifically, but he will hold it against ESPN. But hey, join the club, Bill Belichick, because it wasn't that long ago that Paul Feinbaum had turned his guns on me and my former partner and sometimes friend, because I don't even remember what we did, Callahan. We talked about Feinbaum kissing Manning's ass.
I can't even imagine what you guys were talking about. Like for Paul Feinbaum to catch wind of it, I can't even imagine what you guys.
Well, the Manning, he's well known as for kissing the Manning family's ass, and I think, if I have this correct, like when the subject of Peyton Manning slapping the trainer on the ass or whatever, showing his ass to the trainer at Tennessee, he just jumps to the defense. He jumps to Archie Manning's defense. I'm going to guess Archie Manning or whoever, some of the Mannings, are good sources for Paul Feinbaum, because he does not tolerate any criticism of the Manning family. So we just basically called him an ass kisser of the Mannings, I believe. And then a caller brought us up to Paul Feinbaum to see if he would react, and he did. It was good.
Your buddy Gerry Callahan and Kirk Minahan back in Boston, they're what they always say, and
Well, but let me say
No
about
one's
Callahan. Let me say about those two guys. What's the other guy's name? Minahan and Callahan.
Minahan, yeah, Minahan.
I mean, those guys are a blot on the face of the earth. I mean, they are just they represent everything that's wrong in society. They're haters. They've never done a constructive thing in their life.
I don't have to disagree with that. But what they always say is,
so I don't really care what those two clowns say about anything.
Well, what they always say is,
what did
whenever
they ever
someone in a
accomplish?
DUI case
By
happens,
the way,
What did they ever accomplish? This is May 30th, 2017. What do you think you guys were doing? What do you think the book was that quarter?
I think it was pretty damn good. I don't know what Feinbaum's ratings are, but most people in New England don't even know who he is. He won't let the guy ask the question. I don't know, what is the guy asking about? He won't let him get it out.
I have no idea. Let's see if it continues. Hold on.
I mean, does either one of you have a high school degree?
yeah, Kirk comes from a rich family.
No, good.
That's something that people.
You know what? Let's throw the guy a parade on Beacon Street because he comes from a rich family.
No, but I think
I didn't come from one. Okay, I'm actually working for a
say.
living every day.
He says some crazy stuff. He's gone in a lot of trouble, Kirk Minahan. But the one thing he does is, I think a lot of us, whether you like him or hate him, which I don't really know what the polls are in Boston. He really
listen.
He can get you
Mark,
It's by the way, it sounds like this caller knows a lot about what's going on in Boston and about you guys. So,
but I don't even remember. But the guy doesn't bring up what we said. I think it was about the Mannings. I hope it was about the Mannings, because that was pretty transparent. Feinbaum was covering for the Mannings, no matter what the story was. It could have been something about Eli. It could have been something about Cooper. He was going to defend the Mannings, and I believe he just adores Archie Manning. But that's Paul Feinbaum on me.
what have you guys done? You guys are doing what, a 16 share in a major
market? What are we, a blot on society?
Oh, yeah, blot on society. Yeah,
I like it. But you know what? My man Bill Belichick, he'll go after it some way, in some form. If he gets wind of what Feinbaum said, he's gonna get his revenge in this life or the next. That's gonna happen, and it should, because there's plenty of you can criticize Belichick. Hell, I'm gonna be front of the line if he starts Cam Newton. That was re-signing Cam Newton, to me, didn't make any sense unless he has agreed to be a backup, and I don't think he has. I would have cut ties after the last game. Just said it was great to have him. Good effort, good try, good effort, but didn't work out and moved on. I can't believe he's back, and I can't believe Belichick is saying that's his starter. It ain't. But you know what? Feinbaum is going to strike a nerve, and we'll hear more. There'll be more to the story, I hope. But I wish Feinbaum was like more of a presence in New England. I would like to hear more from him. He sounds like a
couldn't even
pretty
be
good troll.
he couldn't be any more irrelevant. But though I do think which is the easiest thing, but I think his show was syndicated. So I bet that person
Right.
that didn't sound like an accent. They're probably from New England. They're probably the one person who was listening to ESPN radio in Boston. I don't know if is that still around on 850?
I don't know. As we mentioned the other day, we used to go through the numbers, and Dan Lebertard just got 50 million or whatever he got from DraftKings. Rarely finished in the top 40. And I never knew there were 40 radio stations, but we'd go through the numbers, and he'd finish like 46th and 43, 43rd. And, Golick and the other guy did okay. They'd finish in, I don't know, 15th. But Lebertard's numbers were so bad. He mustn't have had 3 people listening in Boston, and now he's getting $50 million. And good luck to him.
It's good timing. Yep.
Sometimes you get woke, you don't go broke. In this case, you get woke and you're nice and safe. If you're Lebertard, DraftKings don't have to worry about you saying anything to upset the mob, because hell, the mob is on your side. So just be Lebertard. And I heard he hired like Kate Fagan, and he'll probably hire Jamel Hill and all the usual suspects.
Jamel Hill is absolutely a consultant as part of his new media company.
That's right. Then they team up on something. I forget what. But they're going to put all those same, woke ESPNers, former ESPNers in, and none of them will have any listeners. But damn, DraftKings will bankroll the thing, and good luck to them. One other football note, and I wish I could join the mob and criticize Craig Carton on this, because Zach Wilson, new QB in New York, and by the way, he looks great. He looks like the best comp when you see the highlights, or you see that 1 or 2 games that were on TV this year. That one bowl game or whatever it was against. I don't think it was a bowl game. It was just a game they had to organize. Like 3 days before the game, they said let's play, because they both had an open date. Not Central Florida, Charleston, or was it Coastal Carolina? Charleston, whatever. One of those teams, they played, and he looks great. Very athletic. He looks very young, very handsome. He will get chewed up and spit out in New York. It's not fair. The guy's going to be a good quarterback. I just don't think you have a great chance when you go to New York and play for the Jets. But anyway, the one who stole the night, at least on social media, was his mother, who's young and hot and blonde, and everyone's saying, who is that? It was Zach Wilson's mom, who looks to be about 33 years old. But so Craig Carton asks about having what's like, to have a hot mom, essentially, and everyone's killing Craig Carton until you hear it and you say it wasn't so bad. Can we hear Craig Carton ask the new Jets quarterback about his hot mom?
Yes.
So I check out the newspapers, right? When I wake up this morning, I go online. Let me just see what other people are saying about my guy. And the headline of the Post is Zachpot. I'm like, all right, I like that. Not bad. The lead story, though, is not about Zach Wilson becoming the New York Jet quarterback. Your mom has become the lead story here. And I say that respectfully, because people are like, the star of the first round of the draft is Mrs. Wilson, because she's a very attractive woman. And I'm just wondering how awkward that is for you, that you just got picked 2nd overall in the draft, and the focus is, wow, his mom is really hot. I assume you've dealt with it your whole life, but now it's playing out on Broadway. How awkward was that for you?
Yeah, it's not my favorite for sure. We like to keep her out of the spotlight, but she's an awesome lady, and I love having her support.
No doubt. I respect that. I had to bring it up because it is on the front page of the papers today. And we asked.
See, that wasn't. That was not inappropriate. It was not uncalled for, and he got criticized. And I hate Craig Carton. He's a scam artist who has. By the way, is he paying his restitution in full? All the victims. I love the fact that Entercom, they can't have somebody on the air who, I don't know, doesn't think 4-year-olds should transition, but they can have a guy who scammed all his friends out of millions, and they can have him talk about gambling too.
It's true. He's doing the like awareness.
Right.
You have a gambling problem.
We have ethical standards,
Right.
but that wasn't a bad question. And you know what? It was a big topic. His mother was a big topic, and the question is, how awkward is it? And he answered it. He didn't like it, but he got through it. And by the way, that's a preview of things to come, Zach Wilson. Just wait till the questions come. If you suck, or if you are always hurt, or whatever, you're going to get.
How you would have asked the question, by the way. Like, that's just like he went on for a friggin' minute because he was so scared to ask it to begin with. Like, just be a man. It's on the front page of the New York Post. Your mom, she's attractive. It's in New York. Does that bother you? Bye. That doesn't make you a scumbag for asking the question. Do it and move on. But you could tell, this is supposed to be some edgy guy, and he has to explain himself as he asks this question for a minute. It's insane.
Well, he asked the question and he handled it. And good luck to Zach Wilson. He's looks like a really good quarterback. His comp is Mahomes because he's that athletic and a strong arm. But I think Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance and Mac Jones are in much better situations. In fact, Mac Jones might be in the best situation of all the rookie quarterbacks. So he may have the best chance to succeed. Zach Wilson has the worst chance to succeed, even though there's a new coach and new everything in New York. We'll see how it goes. But that is it for our draft talk. One other thing we got to get to, because it's kind of a weekly thing we do here. Saturday Night Live was a repeat. We're not going to review Saturday Night Live. We don't. It was a bad show the first time, so we didn't watch the second one. But the story over the weekend, the Saturday Night Live story, it was incredible. It's just so telling and just so indicative of the times in which we live. But the host next week, I believe, a week?
Yes.
From us, so 5 days from now, the host is Elon Musk. Now, to me, that's a coup. You get Elon Musk to host. That's just not usually it's a star of a new movie, who's coming out, and you get one of the stars, and half the people don't know who it is, and they don't watch the movie, and they don't care, and they do a fake game show, and they do whatever, and it's all the same, goes by the same script. Elon Musk is different. This is a guy who's not an actor, not a singer, not a comedian, who's an entrepreneur and a super successful businessman, a great innovator, a multi-billionaire, the second richest guy in the world, I believe now. He goes back and forth, but his fortune has grown during the pandemic. But anyway, Elon Musk is asking for suggestions for skits for the show when he's hosting. And that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how he handles it. It's, how awkward it will be, how funny he will be, how good his monologue will be. He's a fascinating guy by any standard. Anyway, and he's getting a bunch of suggestions on Twitter for skits, about landing on the moon with one of his rockets, and the moon is made out of Bitcoin or some stupid thing. There's all kinds of these dumb suggestions, and they'll probably use some of them. Anyway, the big story is the cast isn't happy. The cast for Saturday Night Live doesn't like the fact that Elon Musk is hosting, and I guess he's not woke enough. I didn't really realize it. He's kind of a libertarian, as you'd expect, and he's kind of a contrarian in many ways. If he doesn't,
he's a misogynist, Gerry. Just say it. He's a misogynist. Say it. That's what they think.
What makes him a misogynist, by the way? I read the story, the New York Post story. I got it right in front of me. The reason they're upset is that he's a rich, successful businessman. That's true. I mean, they don't have, like, it's not one thing he said. Usually there'd be an accusation of, like you say, sexual misconduct, or he said something inappropriate at work and that kind of thing. But it's not that. One of the cast, a writer for the show, Andrew Dismukes, posted on Instagram when they found out who Elon Musk was hosting. He said, only CEO I wanted to do a sketch with is Sherry O'Terry, the former cast member, who, that's hilarious. I guess her initials are CEO. So this writer does not want to do a sketch with a CEO, like he doesn't, because he's CEO. Adie Bryant, I believe she's the Zoftic one, the large woman. She shared a message that was considered a dig at Musk too. She said she reposted a tweet from retweeted a tweet from Bernie Sanders that called it a moral obscenity that the 50 wealthiest people in America own more wealth than the bottom half of our people. So the reason Michael Che kidded to Jimmy Fallon that he hopes the billionaire Musk will uphold the SNL tradition of hosts giving, quote, a couple of $1 million to each cast member. Now, that's hilarious, but that's Michael Che, not often funny. And Miley Cyrus, the musical guest, went back and forth with little friendly banter with Musk and took a lot of criticism for that she was indulging the host. But that's it. I kept waiting for a reason that you wouldn't want to go on stage with him. There is none. They just don't like him because he's worth $100 billion and he's sending rockets into space, and he's inventing or he's perfecting the electric car, and he's just a brilliant history-making, groundbreaking entrepreneur. That's what they don't like. The guy actually creates jobs and pays taxes and makes money.
It's a billionaire with a personality. Like, do you know, like Bezos would be horrific on Saturday Night Live, right? Warren Buffett would be horrific on Saturday Night Live. Elon Musk has a personality. He's modern. I don't know if he's funny, but he has the potential to be funny. He caused a little bit of a stir with Joe Rogan, right? Weren't they smoking weed on Joe Rogan's podcast or something like that? So
yep, he was smoking weed with Rogan, but I mean, nothing really controversial, unfortunately, but I'll watch, and hopefully it's uncomfortable, but no one, the story is that Lorne Michaels has allowed them an out. If you don't like the host, which is amazing to me. So the boss is talking to writers, not even big stars, not that they have any stars, but we're not talking about, Chris Farley or Phil Hartman or Eddie Murphy. We're talking about just this cast of nobodies that cranks out this crap every week that is most notable because it's not funny and it's not edgy, and all they do is defend the deep state, the big the swamp. They love Biden, they love all the woke mob. They're with the mob, and they're supposed to be edgy comedians anyway. No one has publicly announced that they will not participate in this episode because they don't like Elon Musk. If they do, that will be the most embarrassing moment in SNL history. If one of the cast members, if A.D. Bryant or Michael Che says, I'm not doing the show because I don't like him. I mean, that's not what you do if you're a comedian. That's not what you do if you're a iconoclast. You don't do that. You don't say I don't like him. So I'll be home. Call me next week when whoever Robert Schmagel is. Call me next week when Jimmy Fallon makes his return to the show. I'll come back. It's just embarrassing.
When do they start typically in SNL, like rehearsing? Isn't it normally early in the week?
Yeah, Monday, right? This would be probably today, and Sunday's the big party day, and then Monday, Tuesday they get to work. So he'll be there in New York, and this guy's a tireless, just a workaholic. He will work his ass off on this show, and I'll bet you'll be pretty good. He'll be okay, and he'll get along with everybody. But I hope someone bows out. I hope someone says, I can't do it. He's a millionaire. I mean, a billionaire. I don't want to be hanging out with billionaires, but we'll see. It'll be worth watching and worth mocking if they do their usual and do an entirely unfunny.
I wonder how that process works. Like so Lorne Michaels probably booked him directly. I don't even know. How do you book Elon Musk? And then
I'm going to guess Lorne Michaels. I'm going to guess you go from the top, Lorne Michaels or somebody that level.
But don't you think
what do you do? Just call him up?
Don't you think word traveled around a little bit, like in the actual cast and the production crew? They knew that they were booking booking Elon Musk as host, and don't you think like a backlash started and they just chose to do it anyway? Right? Like they're kind of asking for the cast to get pissed off if you listen to feedback and then you let it happen anyway. I would have wanted it to happen, but it seems like there's enough people that are pissed off about it and they just said, screw you, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway. Right? Which I actually respect out of Lorne Michaels.
Right. And that's true. I mean, the idea that they have a show that does not mock or ridicule, Joe Biden or Hunter, doesn't mention Hunter Biden, barely mentions AOC or the squad. I mean, there's a lot of material there that they do not touch because they are on that team. they're again, the real edgy comedians. George Carlin would be disgusted with these people, disgusted with this woke crowd. I mean, that's not comedy. I mean, they're just another, political show that's there to cheerlead the current administration. But I'll watch, I'll see, and I'll probably mock them. But anyway, we have a bunch of stuff to get to, but we'll save some of it. Caitlyn Jenner, I mean, she's pissing off all the right people. I'm certainly not going to support, not that it matters who I support for the governor of California, but I don't know. I like my governors. I don't like necessarily people who, kill other people in remorseless and are remorseless after killing people in car accidents. That's a deal breaker for me. So I'm not a big fan of Caitlyn Jenner, but boy, did she piss off the right people when she said she does not support biological males, trans girls playing sports and kicking ass. And you're not going to get a better authority on the topic than Caitlyn Jenner, who knows if she's whatever, in her 60s, if she were competing today against biological females, she knows she would kick their ass. She knows if she ever in her prime went against females, she was one of the greatest athlete in the world as a male. She knows she would kick their ass. She knows she has great physical advantages, but she went, I'll give her credit, she went against the grain, and they will never forgive him for it. The extremists out there are not going to get over this. The fact that she said trans girls, biological boys should not be able to compete. That's a deal breaker for a lot of the people that would normally support a transgender individual who's running for governor. So I don't think she has a shot, but it'll be interesting watching her. Hopefully she'll be in there and be on the debates, and it'll get crazy because anyone's better than Gavin Newsom. But we'll see how that plays out, and we'll see how the Aaron Rodgers things plays out. That's going to dominate the next whatever it is. 4 months of off season, dominate. Aaron Rodgers, just how unhappy is he? Just how much does he want out? Because if he's determined to get out, he's getting out, and someone else is getting the MVP, which is pretty rare. But anyway, we will leave it there. Thanks to everybody for listening and to watching on YouTube. I didn't get to the comments because I'm hosting a show. You sit there and look at the comments the whole time. Any comments that you would like to read here for the show?
Yeah, nothing crazy. I mean, everybody loved what the Patriots did in the comment section, so they like the Mac Jones pick, which is good. Feinbaum's an idiot, so we got the greatest hits in the comment section. Nothing crazy. But before we go, I wanted to get your take. What was your take on Brookline keeping the outdoor mask mandate? I know I saw you
encouraged.
Yeah.
I went out Friday running, and there were people still running with masks, biking with masks, and I'm this close to starting yelling at people by themselves running along the river with masks. I want to say, didn't you hear? The governor said you don't have to wear a mask anymore. What are you doing? But yesterday, I walked a lot around the city, and a lot of people were throwing the masks away. I'm going to say it's down to about 65% compliance. It was at 95. Last week. It's down and it's dropping, and people are, following the science, following the CDC. Unlike Brookline. Brookline is not following the science. They're ignoring the science. They are insisting people still wear masks when they don't do anything when you're outdoors. Get rid of the masks, especially when you're vaccinated. But we have, unfortunately, the anti-vaxxers are in the most powerful positions. The leading anti-vaxxers are Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Fauci. Those are the leading voices for the anti-vax movement. If you get vaccinated, nothing changes, according to Joe Biden, according to Kamala Harris. So why bother? If you listen to people like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, you get to get rid of the mask as soon as you get vaccinated so you can live your life. But they're not quite as visible and vocal as Biden and Harris are. So the president and vice president hopefully will eventually come around and realize that vaccines work and they don't have to remain masked up and socially distanced, and they will stop with the anti-vax rhetoric, and we can all, get on with our lives. You're double vaccinated, right? You got both your shots?
I got absolutely crushed on Friday, the day after my second Pfizer shot. Oh, it beat my body bad. It was
really.
Yes, I got beat up. So
did
good
you
luck
feel? Was it like when you get really hungover and you say, "Why did I do that? Why did I do that shot at midnight?"
Well,
do you feel crappy and say, "Why did I do that? I'm young and I'm healthy. Why did I get that shot?"
I am at my peak in terms of unhealthiness right now. It felt like 5 years ago lifting weights for the first time in the gym the day after doing that. That's what it felt like, not wanting to get out of bed. Once you got somewhere, you just wanted to stay the whole day. It was an achy fatigue. It was to the extreme for 24 hours. Then it was gone, right? It was just 24 hours and then it's gone. Yep.
But now you can go outside without a mask, right? Now you
can
go to the store.
Yep, I can go watch soccer games as long as I'm staying 6 feet from other people. Everybody at the soccer field was still wearing masks when I was with my nephew's games, 5 years old. But I'm good. So,
but they still wear masks and social distance even if they're vaccinated. Makes sense. You're an anti-vaxxer too.
Yeah.
When I get vaccinated, I'm going to go live my life. But we will see. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks to DCU and Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. And thanks to everyone for listening and watching and commenting on YouTube. We appreciate it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will talk to you tomorrow.